in one.
Because it was just because it was the first year, it's kind of a shot in the dark.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we looked at like what Great Barrington was doing, and they were bringing in like $1.3 million in the last
Sure,
fiscal
they
year.
were
So
very-
1,000 seemed reasonable.
It's a very established market,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
Okay.
okay, so again, as I said at the beginning, 2025 is not closed yet. There's still work that has to be done, but I like to try and give people a ballpark idea of where we are netting. As we all know, the city lost $1.3 million alone in 2024. And it looks like 2025, we're gonna be about $500,000 in the red as well. It's not great, obviously. There will be, I think that number will change and hopefully become a little better, because between, as we said, the lodging tax that's gonna get charged back, and I think there's some grant expenditures for which we have to book the corresponding revenue that hasn't been done yet. That's sort of a change in accounting procedures as of last year. That might be like another 100,000, so that may take the loss more down to like, 380, somewhere in that range. But again, we'll have better insight on that at the next finance meeting, and then obviously, once we file, so just so you know, we filed with the state, it has to be filed by May 1st, it's called the AFR, which is the annual financial report. As soon as that's filed, I make that public on the website, of course, and I generally provide a highlight summary to you guys. And then auditors come in, the independent auditors come in and audit all of the financials, and they will often find something that they think needs to be recorded in a different way. So, so we shall see, but that's roughly the timing. So we're all clear on that.
So May 1st, there will be public.
May 1st, there will be public numbers, which the auditors may or may not agree with, depending on the year and the auditor. Yes.
Fair
So just to give you a sense of where we are, the total fund balance at the end of the year for 2024 was 4.6 million. But what everybody thinks of when they talk about fund balance is actually just the unrestricted fund balance, and that was 2.27. If I take that 484 and I assume we get another 100 grand in revenue against it, bringing that down to, roughly 384, that would take our potential unrestricted fund balance down to about 1.88 million. That is a little under 12% of annual projected revenues. The Office of the State Controller will not give guidelines in terms of how much unrestricted fund balance we should have, but the Government Financial Officers Association does, and they say at minimum, it should be 2 months, which is roughly 17%. So ideally, we would like to see that number be closer at a minimum to 2.66 million as opposed to 188. So, not the best two trends in the world right now, but there is some bright side, because we do have to remember that 2024 and 2025 in particular, and before that as well, but we had other offsetting things, but had some significant expenditures related to the DRI grant and related to the Ferry Street Bridge. And, people can, you get a $10 million grant and it's great, except if you have to borrow for 5 years and you have to pay interest on everything that you borrow for that 5 years. And then after you borrow for a couple of years, you have to start paying the principal down on what you're borrowing. So you can't borrow as much. It ends up costing a fair amount of money. I think the last time I looked, the $10 million DRI grant has cost us roughly $1.6 million. Same thing with the Ferry Street Bridge. A better situation in that hopefully we're going to be borrowing for less time. And much like the DRI, in theory, there's enough grant money to cover pretty much the entire expenditure. So I don't anticipate for either the DRI or for the Ferry Street Bridge that we're going to have any significant amount of long-term debt that comes out of it. So assuming that goes away, just to give you perspective, just for the interest and the required principal down payment for the short-term borrowing for the DRI was $613,000 in 2025, and it's projected to be $771,000 in 2026. So assuming we get the reimbursements in time so that we don't have to borrow again in this year, most of that will go away. We will have at least one new debt service, which is the pumper truck that you guys authorized, I don't know, 3 years ago or whatever it was. But that's gonna be under should be under $100,000 a year in debt. So, you know, that's some, you know, good news at least. Any questions on that?
Um. This is my first year here, so excuse me if this is a dumb question.
No dumb questions.
What's holding us back from recouping the money for the Fair Street? Is it just kind of the way it is? The state of the various grants just take a long time?
It depends on the grant, yes. In this case, it's actually a bigger issue than that, and it's actually mentioned on, further in.
Okay,
So it's obviously not a stupid question because I actually have a bullet point about it somewhere.
good.
In this particular case, there has been a problem with, the engineering firm who was responsible for submitting for the reimbursements. That's part of their job as being the manager, and they just haven't done it yet, even though the bridge has been open for almost a year.
Do they not have a liability,
Well,
especially since it's costing us?
interesting that you should ask that because I actually sent, you know, Rob has been trying, to get them in gear. So literally last week, or this almost have been last week, I sent something to Andy Howard, who's our city attorney, and basically said, you know, this is how much it's costing us if we have to borrow again because we don't get the reimbursement by the time our short-term borrowing expires or it matures at
Yeah.
the middle of June. It could cost us another, you know, $400,000 to $500,000. And I said, that sounds like breach of contract to me.
Yeah.
And so, we now are scheduling a call with the engineering firm. We're in the process of doing that now to have a discussion with them.
So, I'm sorry, what's not, something not done, not finished, or?
Paperwork didn't get
Paperwork.
filed.
Yeah,
Which is silly, we're driving on the bridge.
Oh,
yeah, and it's, my understanding is that, this same engineering firm has worked with the same vendor that we've been dealing with on that project, and they have started and finished and gotten the reimbursements all faster than anything that's happening. So I think it might be, you know, the specific team within the firm that was assigned to our project, but yeah, we're at the point where we're, you know, we're having significant discussions and including the attorney at this point, so.
When we're low on our fund balance, any little bit helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, so we basically talked about the financial reporting timing already, so I'll skip over that. I won't go into the financial systems stuff. Suffice it to say that it's still missing capabilities that we need. That's probably gonna have some extra costs associated with it. Hopefully, we can cover it with the amount that we're encumbering from the software development, from 2025. It's just, you know, it's still relatively new software, but it seems like every day we come up with, there's another problem, like something's not working right, and it's stressful, not gonna lie. Foreclosure proceedings, we now have 10 properties who've entered into installment payment plans. There's 2 more scheduled on my calendar to bring in them. You know, we sent out a final warning letter to the people that did not owe significant balances. That due date in order to redeem was 3/20. So the final list will be going to the attorney tomorrow, in fact, to begin title searches, which means the title search costs will be added onto the properties. You know, we started with 152 properties. We're down to 27. So, pretty successful in, being able to recoup a fair amount of money and get people off the list, which is obviously our goal, without spending a significant amount of money yet. But now that part begins. So yeah, as I said, we're gonna work title searches and then we start the whole official proceedings. Other items, we talked about this, my V8 paddock place, we're finally in a position to put that on the market, so, spoke with Andy and he's targeting, April. We're working with, the planning board and Lisa, to streamline, escrow processes, which have gotten very cumbersome. Retirement's another hot mess in terms of mandatory reporting that we have to do and our inability to get the data we need out of our payroll system because of the way that it was poorly implemented. So that's going to be something that we continue to pursue, and I imagine might also be an expense that we might have to incur because like it has to get fixed right, because otherwise we won't be able to do the reporting right without significant human intervention, and it's something that has to be done every single month. SID, we talked about that, so, they've actually been made whole in terms of the money that we collected. We originally talked about giving them half and then half, and frankly, we have enough cash flow in the general fund, and it's just easier for me to make them whole with the amount. It's what we do with the water sewer re-levies as well, is whatever we re-levy, we immediately turn around and give the cash back out to the funds, so they have the full operating cash. So we did the same thing with the SID, we're treating it the same way. Lodging tax, this is more of an FYI for you guys in case any of your constituents reach out to you. Something funky is going on. Columbia County apparently recently contracted with Airbnb to collect tax for them. Our STR operators started getting communications from Airbnb saying, hey, we're gonna be collecting Columbia County lodging tax directly from you now and paying it directly on your behalf. Well, that's a problem because number one, we have our own, we don't pay Columbia County. So I reached out to the county and said, what's going on? The business manager there is saying that they only contracted for sales tax, but they're literally sending notices saying that they're collecting lodging tax. So I asked for the Airbnb, whoever he was dealing with at Airbnb to sign the contract, so it's a sales guy, so he's eager to meet because he's gonna try and pitch us. And I'm just trying to get the information, so had a back and forth with them, sent them a list of questions, which is basically, what are you actually doing for Columbia County? Is it just sales tax? If it's sales tax, why are you sending out notices that say it's lodging tax? It might be because they're both 4% and they got, between sales and implementation, there's always a mess. I used to work in software, so it's always a mess. So it might be that. And I said, but conversely, if you are in fact collecting lodging tax, is there a carve out for the city? And I tried to explain the whole thing. So, we're working on trying to get it figured out, but just in case any of your constituents say like, like I've had people reach out to me saying like, but I got the same saying that they're paying my tax for me. So why is local gov, which is who we use, why is local gov telling me I still owe taxes? And it's like, it's a mess. And apparently it's a mess at the county level as well, because they're also getting, the county STR people are also getting mixed messages. So, yeah. So some things, I mentioned in the last meeting, but now that we're actually in the finance committee meeting per se, some things I would like to request that actually be considered by the finance committee. One would be the procurement policy. It would be simply just adopting the state policy. So however the state evolves theirs, ours would evolve naturally as well. We have our own now and it's quite outdated. The limits are much lower than the state. So that's an easy fix. Department and BEA budget transfer authorizations. Currently, a department can authorize up to $500 between their line items. The BEA, you just need a BEA resolution, which is just 2 out of the 3 BEA signatures for up to 1,000, and anything 1,000 and higher has to go to the whole council for approval. Those have been the same limits for probably 30 years. So, in the interest of efficiency, both in terms of departmental management and in terms of the council and what you should be spending your time on, I would propose that we look at increasing those levels, and that's something that we can all discuss in terms of what those levels might be, but it might be, a department head could do up to 1,000, BEA could do 5,000, and anything over 5,000 would go to the council, or maybe even 5 to 10K, something like that, but.
Do you have any recommendation?
Let me think about it.
These are just line item transfers rather than department transfers?
They'd be budgetary transfers within any of the lines in a given department.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because it's not like you're taking money from a different department, it's from,
correct.
you
It's like-
budgeted for this.
Right,
We
right.
anticipate this is not gonna need that, so you need it for, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it also would not impact budget amendments at all. Budget amendments always have to come before the council regardless of how much they are. Council member health insurance. This is something, it's not necessarily an immediate thing either, but as you know, council members are able to take the health insurance. In some cases, it becomes operationally problematic because the actual contribution from the council member exceeds the amount of the council member's paycheck. Which means now council members have to remember to come in and write a check, and then we have to deposit it, so we have enough money to pay the actual health insurance bill. It's a pain in the ass, pardon my language, sorry. So one idea I had, and again, this is just, for discussion, but one idea I had was potentially indexing the council member pay to whatever the health insurance not copay, sorry, what do you call it? The
Premium, yeah.
the contribution toward the premium. Indexing that, so at least there would always be enough money when the paychecks are done. So that, as Lyric nodding in the back, because she does payroll and it's dealing with this issue, so.
I'm not getting what do you mean by indexing, like just keeping it back instead of?
I'm saying like, let's say let's say that the highest contribution, so the family contribution for the MVP plan, let's say it's $400.
Yeah,
Make the council salary $400.
I see what you're saying.
So
Oh, okay,
there's
so
enough
you're
money
matching
in
it.
the payroll to cover the expenditure,
Yeah.
and then index it so that if it goes up, if MVP goes up next year by 2%,
I see what you're
the
saying.
payroll
Yeah,
can
yeah,
go by 2%.
Because the council started.
It increased like once a couple of years ago, I think, but not by much.
They were trying to reduce the number of council just to pay for something else.
Well,
That's the one.
that's not a bad idea either, but I didn't put that one on my list. And the other thing I would like to discuss at some point is talking about having some potentially either a city credit card or a city debit card. We used to have one or more, as most of you probably know, there was, embezzlement issue with it, and it was decreed that there would be no credit cards allowed. But as you know, with everything getting more and more online, electronic, there are certain things that it would be, a lot of things we can do, we have Amazon accounts, and so you can have a business Amazon account, so you don't need a credit card for things like that. One example I would give specifically for my department is we have to have envelopes with postage on it. And you can literally get them for significantly less money if you can order them with a credit card than if you have to order them and then pay with a check. So there's money saving involved. I wouldn't want to do anything about it without, significantly more investigation. And obviously, what I would say, there'd have to be some sort of pretty significant control system in place. Like a two-person sign off or something like that, and it would have to be used for only like limited things that it's really required for, not like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with writing a check, I'm just gonna use a credit card now. So, it's just, like I said, for consideration,
Those city credit cards in any department,
there shouldn't be,
like bank cards or debit cards.
there shouldn't be.
Really?
I can't swear that there aren't, but there shouldn't be, it's against, but there's a resolution that outlaws it.
So, okay.
Okay, so we talked about borrowing, we talked about the pumper truck already. I'm meeting actually with our fiscal advisors tomorrow to start talking about what we're actually going to have to borrow. Tony's point in terms of the Ferry Street Bridge, so we're having a serious discussion on that. And that's pretty much it. You've seen the resolutions already last week.
But I'm going back to the procurement policy. Does the state have like a policy, like a?
Yeah. I mean, I can try and find it for you. Rob probably has it. I can reach out to Rob.
Okay. And then, figure that we have something that's out there. Okay.
It's a PDF. New
Have it
York
already?
State procurement
Yeah.
guidelines. And it looks like they pull on that every year.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Any other questions? Lloyd?
The foreclosures, is that list gonna be made available, and how many under 1,000 now?
The list is available, at least it was available as of maybe 5 or 6 days ago, so there might be a couple properties that have come off of it. And I think there are maybe two under 1,000 at this point. One of them is a corporation and,
Wonder, how many under 500? Do you know the number?
I don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, is there like a threshold where,
Nope. Can't. Because it looks like, you're being arbitrary who you're choosing to enforce it.
where we pay, money to go after, $200?
But you have to, you just have to, because you can't just say, no, we're gonna let you go because it's not that much, no worries.
Anything else? Any other questions? No, thank you very much, Heather. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have to go over the, arts and entertainment. Yeah. One at this point. No, no. You're free to go. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the clear. Thank you. It's great. All right, so, I sent off the arts and entertainment, so there's $30,000, same as last year. I had the form, which I sent to you, same as last year. Do you have any comments? Changes to the form? What should we do?
No, was questioning, I think I emailed you about, is there any other way to apply? Is it just that format online?
Oh,
Like,
did you email?
yeah, my phone broke, so I never seriously. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's it. What do you mean, like a physical form?
yeah, like just if I'm asked, people will be having.
I mean, what we could do, I guess, is, we can print it out, if someone wants to come into the office and manually, fill it out.
I was trying to share it on my social media account, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe the format or something on it.
I don't know, it's a Google form, so
Got it out of that.
it's just it would just be the link.
No, I'll try it again, but.
Try again, I'm sorry. I don't know if I got your email, but anyway. All right, so if not, then what we could do is maybe have a lyric, maybe you could help us out. If I sent you a Google form, would you be able to maybe, it's like 3 or 4 pages long. So maybe print a couple sheets out in case someone wants to come to your office and actually manually fill it out.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I have some, internet issues.
Okay, so other than the application, so a physical copy.
Mhm.
Okay, other than that, so we need to set a due date. What should the due date be?
What was it last year?
It was April 15th. Okay, so we have to kind of work backwards. So here we are at March 24th, so we're a little bit late. People usually want these sooner, sooner than later. So our next, and we have to approve everything, put together the resolutions and put it in front of the council, so they can okay it. So the next council meeting is then when, well, the next council meeting is like the informals on the 20th. So if we could do it, like if we could have a meeting on maybe the 16th. And then they give us a day and then decide work. Yeah, that would be like 3 weeks or so for people to do it. People to fill out the forms. And they would give like a day to put together the just one resolution that lists it. And that would go in front before the informal we would put that together for the 17th of April. And that would go in front of the informal on the 20th. And then what we would do is we would just move the finance meeting from the 28th to the 16th. Does that work for you?
The finance meeting will be April 16th
Would be April 16th. Yes.
to discuss the deadline.
To discuss the, yes.
That'd be kind of like a special one, because we would,
It's a special, well, it's a special one, yeah, I have to tell Lyric.
Yeah.
And, we're gonna move it, because there's no reason to have, unless we have Heather coming on each one, maybe, but, let me talk to Heather, but we would need a special, it'd be like a half hour, 45 minutes. So we can review it, we can review it all, just to get everything in before the informal on the 20th.
you would want all applications in how many days before that meeting?
If we went right up to the deadline, so I
I
gave
think
them,
ideally, it would be like, we had a couple of days to review like offline, and then the meeting would just be like, yes, no, you know what I mean?
what I did
How did you do it?
is I, like the day before, I took whatever we had, I sent it to everyone.
Yeah.
And then we gave like one last day, then we gave me like one, we got 1 or 2 dribbles at the end.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah.
We just made a decision.
Yeah.
So is that what it is?
About what time is 16?
You know, it doesn't, I don't know, I don't have any, whatever, whenever. We could do, if you want, we could even do it at 5:30, we could do it a little later, if that works for you.
All right, 5:30.
All right, 5:30, I'm gonna have to put it in.
I have to, let me see if there's, something else.
So what I'll do is I will, people say that Thursday, I gave them a date, I gave them a deadline, so we say like 4 o'clock on Thursday. 16th is the deadline for the arts and entertainment forums. I'll run a report at 4 o'clock, I'll see if there's anything else, but I'll run the day before. Or see if we have any new submissions, and then go from there.
That day doesn't coincide with any other city meeting, so let me double check.
Okay, sorry, saying,
16th, no, there's nothing else on the calendar.
oh, yeah. That's a good one. See if there's anything else, if you just kind of, there's something else we need that. Are you available the 16th,
Sorry?
April 16th? We're gonna do the, art.
What day of the week?
Thursday, there's nothing on the city calendar.
Probably. I don't have a life.
I'm looking at the city calendar right now, there's no other city meeting for that day. So, yeah. And what we'll do is we'll cancel the finance meeting, the normal finance meeting, we'll just have a meeting on the 16th instead. And then, all right, so we're gonna do the arts and entertainment finance meeting on the 16th at 5:30, review the applications. The 17th, put together resolutions, will be available for the informal on the 20th.
Yes.
Yes?
So, real quick, I'm sorry, the forms are already out in front of it.
Next year,
Not
I
yet.
can put that, we'll put it tomorrow.
We'll put them on tomorrow.
Yeah, because now we just set the deadline. The deadline will be 4 PM on the 16th.
Okay.
To be reviewed at 6 PM or 5:30 PM.
5:30.
Rich, is there a reason why we don't just set same dates for every year going forward,
So what?
like the same dates? Just to make it easier, so we're not having to have this discussion every year, like standard, like end of February, it gets posted, you have all of March.
To be honest with you, I need to tell you this, so.
Well, I mean, no,
Yeah.
usually that money is allocated in
Yeah,
December.
you made this. Last year was April 15th, so we're only 1 day off.
And then usually like 2 weeks always to. For
I mean,
5.
yeah, that's why we did it last year. We had like 1 month.
Yeah, usually it's a month, I remember, cause I used to
Yeah,
apply for it back in
Not 2 weeks. Okay, so usually 30 days they get.
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit less. It's 3 weeks this time. Unless you want to push it back to May, which we could do.
No, I'm not saying anything regarding this year, whatever, I'm just meaning like 2027. Can
Yeah, we could.
we just have it so that it's like, cause we would know by December if
Yes.
we're allocating this.
We didn't have a meeting in January this year.
And the form doesn't really change,
Well, yes.
so there's really, other than if we have enough money or not,
Yeah,
there's nothing
next
really.
year we could have, next year we could put this out in January.
Maybe we'll just have like,
I know, I remember one year we had some people like applying, they
Yeah.
What's that on that?
Well, what I'll do too is we have everyone who applied last year. We have all their email addresses.
Reach out to them.
So
Yeah.
I could send it to, I can say, hey, by the way, I can do that.
That's fine.
I'll send it to everyone who applied already, so they'll receive an email.
All
I
right,
send it out via Hudson Hub, and we'll send it out to, I know the mayor's aide has like a press release
Yeah.
list, so we can send it out that way too. So, yeah, but I'll send it to everyone who's applied in the past. We have all that email, okay? Anything else? Heather's given us the to-do list as well.
I was at HPC.
Huh?
I was at HPC.
Oh, fine, exciting. Any other questions? Comments?
Okay.
Yes?
I appreciate hearing from you, Mr. Rodney, that if the arts community knows that there is gonna be a deadline earlier in the year, because April is a heavy deadline time for a lot of other grant writing, and having more than a couple of weeks is helpful, and especially when trying to encourage new organizations and newer community writers to apply, so I appreciate your thoughtfulness about that. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? All right, adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for playing.